The North Star Hotel, a playground for the paranormal.
The flickering fluorescent light cast an unsettling glow on the dusty hotel register, each faded signature a testament to a bygone era. I ran a gnarled finger down the yellowed pages, the silence of the North Star Hotel pressing down on me like a shroud. They call me Old Man Henry around here, a relic just like the hotel itself. But I wasn't always Old Man Henry. I used to dream big and thought this grand dame of New Orleans held the key to my future. Now, it held only ghosts. The North Star wasn't always a haven for the restless. Built in the late 19th century, it was a palace towering spires, a grand ballroom that echoed with laughter, and a jewel-toned lobby that whispered promises of luxury. I started as a bellhop, a fresh-faced teenager with stars in my eyes. Back then, the worn red carpets seemed plush, and the chipped wallpaper held a faded elegance. The hotel bustled with life families on grand vacations, couples on stolen weekends, and businessmen with deals to be struck. But the life slowly seeped out, replaced by a cold, suffocating silence. The first sign was the fire. I still remember the acrid smoke stinging my lungs, the screams echoing through the halls. We got everyone out, but the fire took a part of the hotel with it, the top floor where the most opulent suites resided. It was sealed off after that, a gaping wound in the once majestic facade. The whispers started then about a young socialite trapped in the flames, forever searching for escape. The flickering lights, the cold spots, the disembodied sobs, they all became commonplace. Guests started complaining, then checking out early. The laughter vanished, replaced by an unsettling quiet. Then came the children. A family with 2 little ones checked in, a flicker of hope in the desolate landscape. But their stay was short-lived. The first night, the frantic mother came running down, her face pale, her voice trembling. She swore her children were talking to someone unseen, giggling at empty corners. We found nothing, of course. But the next morning, we discovered their room trashed, toys strewn everywhere, furniture overturned. The children were gone, their frantic pleas for the nice lady echoing in the empty room. The family fled, leaving behind a trail of goosebumps and a gnawing sense of dread. I became the administrator by default. No one else wanted the job. The pay was meager, the guests scarce. But I couldn't leave. The hotel, with its decaying grandeur and chilling secrets, had become a strange prison. One night, while making my rounds, I heard it. The unmistakable sound of a child's laughter, tinkling like wind chimes, coming from the sealed floor. My heart hammered against my ribs as I crept closer, the floorboards groaning ominously under my weight. The laughter grew louder, laced with a chilling echo. Then, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, followed by an unnerving quiet. I bolted, the laughter clinging to me like a shroud. The next morning, a new family checked in, a young couple with a baby, a sliver of hope, a flicker of normalcy I desperately craved. But as I showed them to their room, a wave of nausea washed over me. It was the room the family with the children had occupied. The couple didn't care, oblivious to the hotel's dark past. That night, I was jolted awake by a blood-curdling scream. Rushing to their room, I found the wife huddled in a corner, her face white with terror. The crib was empty. The window on the fire escape hung open, a single teddy bear abandoned on the floor. I haven't slept properly since. The hotel is a tomb now, the air thick with a suffocating dread. The flickering lights and disembodied laughter are my constant companions. They say the hotel is a playground for the paranormal, a haven for restless souls. I wouldn't know. All I know is the North Star stole my dreams, my youth, and maybe even my sanity. And as I sit here, bathed in the flickering fluorescent light, I can't help but wonder, will I be the next permanent resident of this grand mausoleum? The doorknob rattled then, a slow, deliberate turn. My breath hitched. There was no one on the other side when I opened the door, only the chilling silence, heavy with unspoken promises, the silence of the North Star Hotel. The Watcher in the Woods. The train rattled and groaned, its iron horse a reluctant beast struggling through the dense wilderness. Each puff of smoke seemed to billow with secrets, mirroring the brooding blackwood forest that gradually consumed the landscape. My wife, Evelyn, sat beside me, her usually vibrant emerald eyes reflecting the growing unease that gnawed at me. We were headed for Blackwood Manor, a sprawling Victorian mansion nestled deep within the heart of the forest, a stark inheritance from a distant relative. The crisp mountain air felt strangely suffocating as we reached the deserted Blackwood station. A lone figure huddled in a tattered cloak approached us, his face shrouded in shadow. "Blackwood Manor?" His voice raspy, a dry leaf rustling against the pavement. We nodded, the silence pressing down on us with the weight of 1,000 unspoken warnings. The cab ride through the forest was an unsettling symphony of rustling leaves and snapping twigs. The towering ancient trees formed a dense canopy above, filtering sunlight into an eerie, dappled green. Every now and then, a pair of unseen eyes seemed to flicker through the dense undergrowth, sending shivers down my spine. Blackwood Manor, silhouetted against the dying sunlight, was a sight both magnificent and intimidating. Its Gothic architecture, a grim tapestry of spires and gargoyles, seemed to glower at us with its empty, dust-coated windows. Inside, the air hung thick with the scent of time and decay. Dust motes danced in the flickering candlelight, each one a tiny spectre dancing in the vast, cavernous rooms. Our daughter, Lily, a ray of sunshine with her blonde braids and infectious laughter, was the only one seemingly unfazed by the somber atmosphere. Her childish explorations filled the echoing halls with a welcome sound of life. Yet, there was a hint of melancholy in her eyes, a shadow that seemed to deepen with each passing day. The first sign arrived on the third night. A low, guttural scrape startled me awake. It sounded like claws tearing against the wood of our bedroom window. I bolted upright, heart hammering against my ribs. With trembling hands, I fumbled for the lamp, its weak light revealing nothing but the moonlit silhouette of the forest beyond the grimy window pane. Relief washed over me, replaced by a nagging unease. It was probably just some nocturnal creature. But the unease soon blossomed into trepidation. Days later, while exploring the attic, I stumbled upon a dusty, leather-bound book tucked away in a forgotten trunk. Its inscription read, "Amelia's Diary." Curiosity ignited. I cracked it open, the fragile paper whispering secrets of the past. It belonged to the previous owner's daughter, who mysteriously vanished years ago. As I delved deeper into the diary, my blood grew cold. Amelia spoke of a dark presence that lurked at the edge of the woods, a creature with eyes that glowed like embers. She described an oppressive feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following her every move. It was as if the forest itself was a living entity, malevolent and ever-present. Lily's behavior started to change. Her vibrant drawings, once filled with playful imagery, now depicted shadowy figures with glowing red eyes stalking through the woods. Her previously joyful demeanor took on a haunted quality, a constant fear lingering in her bright blue eyes. The silence in the house, once punctuated by her laughter, became heavy and oppressive. One afternoon, while searching for Lily after a particularly frantic game of hide-and-seek, her terrified screams echoed through the house. I found her huddled in a corner of the attic, clutching a scrap of paper like a lifeline. It was a crudely drawn picture of a stick figure with glowing red eyes, accompanied by the chilling message, "Beware." Panic choked me. This wasn't a mere coincidence. Someone or something was targeting us, sending a message of terror. That night, the storm unleashed its fury on Blackwood Manor. Wind howled like a banshee around the old house, its icy fingers rattling the windows. A low, guttural knock resonated through the house, seemingly emanating from every wall at once. My parents, visiting for the weekend, dismissed it as a loose window shutter, but I knew better. Sleep was a distant prospect that night. The darkness felt heavier, a physical presence pressing down on me. Then a whisper, faint but distinct, drifted through a crack in my window. "You're next." My blood ran cold, fear paralyzing me for a moment. Grabbing a heavy candlestick, I cautiously ventured outside, the storm's fury a backdrop to my own mounting terror. Moonlight struggled to pierce the thick canopy, casting long, distorted shadows that danced on the wind. With every creaking step across the porch, every rustle in the bushes, my heart hammered against my ribs. Sweeping the candlelight across the yard, I searched for the source of the voice, but found nothing. The oppressive silence settled back in, broken only by the howling wind. A chilling loneliness pressed down on me, as if the forest itself was mocking my efforts. Back inside, I found Evelyn and Lily huddled together, their faces pale and drawn. Neither spoke, their fear as palpable as the storm raging outside. Days turned into weeks, and the Blackwood Manor seemed to grow increasingly hostile. Books would fall off shelves with no one around, doors would creak open and slam shut on their own, and the air grew thick with a strange metallic tang. We were constantly on edge, every creak and groan a potential threat. Lily became withdrawn, a shadow of her former self. She wouldn't leave my side, her once bright eyes haunted by the terror of the forest. Her drawings took on a darker tone, the figures becoming more menacing, their eyes burning with an unnatural red glow. The diary entries resonated in my mind, Amelia's fear a chilling premonition of our own fate. One day, while exploring a long-forgotten library tucked away in the West Wing, I stumbled upon a hidden passage. Curiosity ignited, and I lit a lantern and ventured inside. The air grew thick and humid, the stale scent of years of neglect clinging to the walls. After navigating a series of dusty corridors, the passage opened into a hidden chamber. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, a dark, obsidian stone orb resting upon it. The inscription on the pedestal sent a shot of terror through me. The Watchful Eye. Amelia's diary spoke of this orb, a conduit between the forest and a dark entity that resided within it. It was said to be the source of the oppressive feeling and the malevolent presence that watched us. Panic surged through me. This was the source of the terror, the reason for the whispers and the unsettling occurrences. Destroying the orb seemed like the only way to break free. Grabbing a nearby iron poker, I raised it above my head, determined to smash the orb into oblivion. Suddenly, a voice, cold and guttural, echoed through the chamber. "Do not touch what does not belong to you, mortal." The lantern sputtered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Fear choked me as an unseen force shoved me back, the iron poker clattering to the floor. A faint red glow emanated from the orb, pulsating like a malevolent heartbeat. My heart hammered against my ribs, trapped in the darkness with the source of our torment. Then, a figure materialized from the shadows, tall and skeletal, its eyes burning with an unnatural red light. It was the creature from the drawings, Amelia's monster, and the embodiment of the forest's malice. Terror fueled my fight-or-flight response. I scrambled for the exit, the creature's rasping breaths echoing behind me. Bursting from the chamber, I slammed the hidden door shut, scrambling through the dusty corridors, my lungs burning. Emerging into the library, I stumbled and fell, gasping for air. Evelyn and Lily rushed to my side. "What happened?" Evelyn's voice trembled. All I could do was point back at the hidden passage, fear rendering me momentarily speechless. We huddled together, the library now a place of refuge rather than knowledge. The rest of the night was a blur. We barricaded ourselves in our room, the silence broken only by the howling wind and the occasional chilling thump from the hidden chamber. Dawn seemed like an eternity in coming, but finally, the first rays of sunlight crept through the dusty window panes. The Blackwood Forest wasn't just beautiful, it was alive, watching, waiting. With newfound determination, we decided to leave Blackwood Manor. We couldn't stay in this place any longer. Packing hurriedly, the whispers seemed to accompany us, a chilling reminder of the entity we were leaving behind. As we were leaving, I glanced back, a fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure standing at the edge of the woods, its eyes glowing like malevolent embers, a chilling reminder that the secrets of the Watcher in the woods remained buried within the ancient forest. A second later, the figure disappeared. Blackwood Manor stood shrouded in mist, the dark entity within its walls dormant for now. But I knew it wouldn't be gone for good. The Watcher in the woods remained, its malevolent gaze forever fixed on the world beyond the trees, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon its cursed domain. We left with nothing but the clothes on our backs and the chilling memories etched into our minds, forever marked by the secrets of Blackwood Manor and the entity that lurked within the heart of the forest. The Aokigahara forest, a gateway to the other side. Trapped in the cramped airplane seat, I pressed my face against the window. Below, the glittering city lights surrendered to the vast blackness of the Aokigahara forest. A shiver danced down my spine. A self-proclaimed believer in logic, I scoffed at the legends, a suicide forest, a portal to the other side. Yet here I was, a knot of unease tightening in my gut with every passing second. Sunlight dappled through the dense canopy of the Aokigahara, casting an eerie green glow on the forest floor. The air hung heavy and silent, broken only by the snap of a twig underfoot. My guide, Kenji, a wiry old man, navigated the path with practiced ease.
"Just a tourist hike,"
he muttered, sensing my apprehension. But his voice lacked conviction, his eyes darting nervously at the tangled undergrowth. I forced a smile. "Absolutely. Taking in the sights." Hours melted into a blur of disquiet. The path narrowed, swallowed by the encroaching foliage. The oppressive silence became a suffocating entity, pressing down with each step. Kenji's earlier bravado had vanished, replaced by a tense silence. "Maybe we should turn back," I suggested. Kenji stopped abruptly, his face pale.
"We're lost."
A cold dread coiled around my heart. We were off the trail, hopelessly entangled in this maze of ancient trees. The playful tourist facade shattered, replaced by a primal fear for survival. Darkness fell like a suffocating cloak. The temperature plummeted, sending shivers down my spine. We huddled beneath a massive tree, the silence punctuated only by the unsettling crunch of unseen things in the undergrowth. A low moan drifted through the trees, sending goosebumps erupting on my skin. It wasn't the wind. It was a sound laden with despair and a chilling loneliness. It was followed by another, closer this time, tinged with a bone-deep sorrow. Kenji fumbled for a lighter, his hands shaking violently. The flickering flame revealed a scene from a nightmare. Skeletons, bleached white by time, hung from gnarled branches, their empty sockets seeming to stare directly at us. Panic surged through me. I scrambled to my feet, the forest floor a treacherous tangle of roots and rocks. A twig snapped behind me. I whirled around, heart hammering, but saw nothing but the endless wall of darkness. The moans came again, circling us, closer now. This wasn't the wind. This was something else, something filled with a profound malevolence. We stumbled through the night, guided only by the sliver of moon peeking through the dense canopy. Time lost all meaning. The moans had become a constant chorus, a chilling symphony of despair. Then, a faint, flickering light in the distance. Hope, a fragile ember, ignited in my chest. We stumbled towards it, fueled by a desperate yearning for escape. The light led us to a clearing. In the center stood a dilapidated wooden shack, its windows glowing an unnatural yellow. Smoke curled from a crooked chimney, the scent of wood smoke thick in the air. A hunched figure sat silhouetted by the flickering firelight inside. Kenji whimpered and grabbed my arm, his eyes wide with terror. But I was beyond fear. This was our only hope. Pushing open the creaky door, I was met with a wave of stifling heat. The figure, an old woman with eyes like smoldering embers, looked up at us. A knowing smile played on her lips.
Lost, are we?
She rasped, her voice like dry leaves rustling in the wind. I could barely force the words out. Please, help us. The old woman chuckled, a sound like dead leaves crunching underfoot.
Some things cannot be outrun, child.
She gestured towards a flickering image on the wall, a grainy photograph of me, smiling confidently, standing at the edge of the Aokigahara forest. But my smile was gone, replaced by a look of pure, soul-crushing terror. The blood drained from my face. It wasn't a photograph. It was a reflection. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, hit that subscribe button and bell for more. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments below. What story resonated most with you, and how did it make you feel?